Yo, we ain't over yet. We ain't done yet. You know, this deal's too damn big. Got lots of stuff to say still. I mean, it's just absolutely biggest deal ever in gaming history. Biggest deal for sure for Xbox. If you're tuning in to this stream, thank you for watching Fun Speculation. Thank you for watching the stream. My name is Mav, and many of you in the chat already know that. So thank you guys for being here. Impromptu, like, just I can't help it. I'm sorry. This is the energy is too strong with this ABK deal. So much salt out there. It's actually like it's been about what I've expected, but like some of the stuff that's been said is still just like so ridiculous that you got to talk about it. ABK, one of the biggest deals in gaming history. Xbox dropping the bag, bringing us all the games, and is there starting to be a little bit of a realization set in about how big this is, right? It's been tried to be downplayed for a while, just like people try and downplay Xbox games every single time they release, try and downplay Starfield, try and downplay Forza Motorsport, try and downplay every damn game, trying to act like they ain't successes, like they're not great, all these kind of things all the time. Trying to downplay what this means for Xbox, trying to downplay how this is going to transform the company and how it already has, actually, if you look at the fact that this is final. No more speculation about this. This damn thing is done. ABK's Xboxes. It happened Friday night, or Thursday night, actually. Was it Friday? Yeah, Thursday night going into Friday morning. And we had Xbox Ultimate Podcast last night. We had a blast talking about it. I did have a stream on late Thursday night going into Friday talking about this as well. But, you know, this is so big that there's just so much to discuss about it. I mean, I was even looking around and I was just like, you know, I wonder how big Hearthstone still is, right? Because I don't really ever hear anybody talk about it or anything like that. I went and looked, and this shit's got so many active players on Hearthstone. It's insane how big this deal is. I mean, just random games that you think about pop in your head. It's like, oh my God, you know, like, could they bring something like that to console? Could they like try and bring that to Xbox consoles and stuff? You know, like just interesting thoughts about all of these games and what they mean. The player bases for these ABK games are just fucking massive. Xbox starts touting the player counts for this stuff, it's on another level. Nothing that no other first-party manufacturer can even dare to compete with as far as first-party games and player base. And you're not just talking about one-and-done games. You're talking about ongoing games that last for years. And, you know, Warzone in itself, just think about the impact of that. It's absolutely nuts. Millions of people right now playing the Modern Warfare 3 beta. It's insane. Activision Blizzard belonging to Xbox is absolutely another level. Point blank, period. And, you know, there's been a lot of downplaying and a lot of trash talkers and stuff out there about it. But thanks, everybody, for joining the stream. Like I said, appreciate you all. Every single show that you tune into, you rock. And yeah, Ducato says, just realized another first-party game is releasing next month. Yeah, Modern Warfare 3 comes out next month. Absolutely insane. What's up, Calorie? How you doing? Drain says, wow, an Xbox StarCraft shooter. Yeah, it could happen. What's up, Nikita? How's it going? Jeremy Brown, how are you doing? John Bon Zombie. Luis Jose, Tony Grasso, Alvin, how are y'all doing, guys? I see lots of green channel members in the chat. Appreciate each and every single one of you guys for being part of what we do here. And hope you enjoyed Xbox Ultimate last night. Interested when is the roundtable? Luis says. The roundtable, I don't know. I'm guessing probably early 2024. I think they're going to get everything together and make sure they're kind of organized with what they want to say. This is even bigger than ZeniMax Bethesda was with the acquisition. So it's not as simple as like, hey, we have just these few projects in the works and we're going to kind of get the studio heads and come and talk. I mean, this is more of a transformational thing. Alex Gunner says, I like this guy ever since YouTube showed me this channel, but I'm a Sony slave. What now? I don't know, man. Just start opening your horizons to other things. Like Xbox is got the games, man. Like there's lots of stuff to play. PlayStation's got great games. Not as much this year, but Spider-Man 2 is about to come out. So once that hits, that's a great game. But then next year, what are you looking forward to right now for PlayStation for 2024 from the first party, right? So like if you open your mind to playing on more platforms, it opens up your horizons to different games that you may have not thought about, or you may have just heard people calling crap that maybe you were like, oh yeah, they're crap because people said so, without actually trying them for yourself. Now you give those games a try, and it's like, oh, hey, I just realized these people were talking shit and didn't matter whatsoever. What the heck is ABK? ABK is Activision Blizzard King. It's one of the biggest gaming publishers in the entire gaming industry, if not the biggest. And they just officially, after 20 months of fighting regulators, fighting against other competitors like PlayStation, trying to get this shut down, all these different things, Activision Blizzard King was officially bought by Microsoft. I know who you are, Video Herb. What's up, Dad? Thanks for stopping by. NC Ghost of Low Road says Tony Hawk 3 remastered, please. Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. There's so many different things they could do. Make True Crimes a GTA killer. Yeah, I was listening to Living Split Screen this morning. They were talking about Gun. They're talking about True Crime. I mean, like, Gun, you look at that and it's like Red Dead Redemption. Like, if we're having to wait years and years and years on what could be for a next Red Dead Redemption, then you're looking at possibly Xbox reviving some of these franchises and giving some competition back to 2K there as far as some of the top games that people look forward to. Like they have so many dormant IPs now. So does the Xbox first party right now, but you're also adding in all of these developers. You look at what they added. Again, you're like quadrupling the development prowess for Xbox, right? So you quadruple that, and now all of a sudden, if you have other dormant IP, maybe you have the teams to finally work on those things, right? Maybe there's other teams that want to work on some of these games that Xbox clearly didn't have the development power yet to revive. Now they do. Plus the ABK games, right? Do you think we can get a prototype 3 this generation? Who knows? Who knows? It's interesting there because that is a definite IP that had some success in the past. It's one of those dormant games. If you want to compete against the likes of Spider-Man, I mean, it's not necessarily going to do it as far as hype goes because Spider-Man's Spider-Man, but Prototype could be a fantastic game, and it kind of fills that same kind of gameplay style, sort of, as a game like Spider-Man. So when Xbox has generally in the past looked at doing deals and bringing games even from outside first party, they've usually looked at, okay, what are the holes, right? Now, they tried filling the hole before with Uncharted, where they signed the deal with Tomb Raider. They got killed publicly for that. People are, oh, you can't take Tomb Raider away from us and all that kind of stuff. But now, now they, it seems like people are more okay with that all of a sudden because Sony does it left and right all the time. So like if Xbox does it, like they shouldn't have any problem. So what if there's another IP out there that they get? What if they go out and get another publisher that has some of these kind of games? What if they go out and get WB Discovery next? I mean, it's absolutely a slim possibility, but it would be interesting to see what they do. Luis Jose says they're getting a ton of proprietary engines with this acquisition. They are getting a ton of proprietary engines with this acquisition. Like, I mean, you look at what they do with Call of Duty, and that engine is like, it's next level, right? Yeah, we brought up Shiba Army Brat says Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat. Yeah, you know, we were talking about Killer Instinct the other day, like, and we already know that they're bringing back Killer Instinct to at least Iron Galaxy's working on it again and updating the game for Xbox Series X and S. So what does that mean for the future of the franchise? Is Iron Galaxy going to stick around and keep working on it? Is Iron Galaxy a target now? We know that the Rumbleverse game that Iron Galaxy made was supposed to be their big free-to-play battle royale type game that they were making. And all of a sudden it flopped, and now they're working on Killer Instinct again? Interesting, right? Yo, what's up, C Money? I don't sleep. Dude, it's like 5:57 p.m. How would I be sleeping right now? I mean, I admittedly have taken naps around this time before, but yeah, dude, it's been, who can sleep though when this is going on? I will admit that when this went down Thursday night going into Friday, I couldn't sleep. I kept waking up like every hour to check my phone. Every single time I check my phone, I'm like, oh, something else major happened. Holy shit, this is happening. This is happening. I went live Thursday night the second I saw that the stocks were halted for ABK, because I knew what that meant. It meant that Tom Warren is right. Friday the 13th was the day it was going down. Friday the 13th was the day it was happening, and we went on and talked about it for like a couple hours. Then a few hours later, in the middle of the night, the CMA approval officially came through. A few hours after that, officially finalized the deal. We had our celebration last night on Xbox Ultimate Podcast. We had the whole family show up pretty much and talk all this news. And then guess what? Today, we're back at it. We're back. I can't help it. Can't help myself. It's Saturday, 6 p.m. Oh, I know he meant it as a figure of speech. Yeah, people say that all the time about me for some reason. It's weird. Yeah, maybe, does it come across that I never sleep? Maybe it does. Maybe I need to get more sleep. Is that a thing? Or maybe I sleep too much. I don't know. I'll keep you guys guessing. How much does Mav sleep? You saw the Transformers game they dropped. Yeah, that Transformers thing that they dropped like what, yesterday? Or the other day? Man, it's like, man, I really, with the kind of Transformers games that's been hopping lately, I really hope that Microsoft takes advantage of what Hasbro was saying and gets that deal done and gets these Transformers games up and going, right? It would be absolutely amazing. You got your bark, Sith Lord? Right on. Bark says bite. Yeah, the Cybertron games. What? Like, yes, let's go. Why not? Why not go to Hasbro and say, hey, let's bring those back? What I'm drinking tonight, this is my drink of choice. This is good old homemade sweet tea. If you're a Southern guy, you know what sweet tea is all about. There's another Transformers game that's coming out. This other Transformers game is made by I think it's Splash Damage. It was originally for a while worked on by Certain Affinity, and then now the Splash Damage had taken over. So I think it was Splash Damage, and it's going to be different. It's been in the works for a while, so hopefully it's going to be a thing and be good. I think it's published by Embracer Group though. If I'm not, oh no, it's not, is it? Who's publishing? Jasper, do you know who's publishing the other Transformers game? Is it exclusive? No. Yeah, it wasn't. This other Transformers game was announced last year. What was it called? Transformers. And this other one that just dropped I don't think it's published by Activision or anything. It's just some crappy looking, like, cartoon-based Transformers game. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be good. Transformers game I'm trying to see what the... There's the War for Cybertron series. There's... Is it Transformers Reactivate? It's announced for Microsoft Windows and consoles. It is developed by Splash Damage. I don't know who the publisher is. I don't know if Splash Damage belongs to Embracer Group or what. There's the other game that just dropped. It's on Windows, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X and S. Published by Outright Games, developed by Tessera Studios. Transformers Earth Spark. Based on one of the cartoons. I mean, this is... They released a Transformers game last year, too, that was like a tactics game. It was kind of ass, to be honest with you. Splash Damage is the publisher, Jasper? I thought they were the developer. Because wasn't Certain Affinity working on it before? Trailer looks like some low-budget fun. Maybe it's going to be good. I don't know. I ain't buying it, though. I love Transformers. Splash Damage is the developer and the publisher, and Bulkhead is also a dev. Right? So it has nothing to do with Activision, right? So, like, I would love if Hasbro got with Microsoft and they got this licensing done. First, you bring back the Cybertron games, and then you move on and you do a deal for a new game. You'll wait for Game Pass? Yeah. I made the mistake of buying that G.I. Joe game like 2 years ago or a year ago. It wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. Better than Gollum. That Gollum game that people were excited for ended up being like one of the worst games ever. So we got a $2 super chat from Drawn TJ. It says, "Hi Mav, we got ABK. Where is the Halo Battle Royale? Certain Affinity's supposed to be working on it, bro. So we'll see. Maybe they'll announce it sometime next year. I think what's happened is the Battle Royale game has turned into a bigger thing. I think the Battle Royale thing has turned into something much bigger because remember, Certain Affinity said that they're working on two things with Microsoft. They're working on Halo stuff, and they're working on also the other project. And they're supposed to be, working on big things with Microsoft. The biggest things they've ever done, they said, right? So I'm thinking it's going to be pretty big. And I'm pretty sure that this Battle Royale experience for Halo has evolved into something much, much larger. What's up, OCD? How's it going? So guys, I have pinned onto the chat, and I've never done this before, honestly, just kind of like about concern about how it would go. But up in the top of the chat, I do have a Discord link. Okay. So if you hop into the Discord, I have a before the show channel. If you hop in there, I'll drag you in and we can have a conversation about ABK. Give your quick thoughts about ABK for a few minutes. If you want to, no pressure. If you've been wanting to hop on and give some thoughts about ABK or just whatever, hop into Discord, into the Before the Show channel. I'll drag you in for a few minutes and we can rotate through, right? If it's up, it's only if you want to. Leaving the door open, right? It's like having a caller call in. Never done it before. I've seen other people do it before. I know David Jaffe does that sometimes and stuff like that. I've seen some other people do it. Never tried it. Honestly, out of fear of what people might say, some craziness or something. But hop in. We'll have some fun. Keep it as clean. I mean, sometimes I get a little nasty or whatever, right? I mean, keep it reasonably clean. You know what I mean? So yeah, just let me know if you guys want to do that. I'll drag you in and we'll have some fun with it. And yeah, I am kind of the reason I kind of thought about doing it now because I am kind of curious about some other thoughts of ABK and what it means, other than just the thoughts from our panel and all that kind of stuff. I mean, is there stuff that we're missing and not really thinking about with this acquisition? Is this something I'm not hitting the nail on the head with at times? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the more I think about it and look at it, yeah, there you go, Void Rat. Exactly. The more I think about it and look at it, it's a bigger deal every time. I was, like I said, I was looking at the Hearthstone numbers today, and they have like 60,000 plus daily players. Like, it's just insane. I mean, concurrent. I'm talking about concurrent players. Like, it's nuts. And to put that into perspective, like on Steam, you have what, like 3,000 to 6,000 usually at a time for Halo Infinite, which is been really steady, honestly, around that for a long time. So I'm not saying it's struggling or whatever. Most players that play Halo Infinite are on Xbox, but like, just to put that into perspective, right? Minecraft obviously is huge and has tons of players, but you know, it just keeps expanding. Warzone and you know, Overwatch and all these different games. It's just the amount of players that they have with these games is absolutely enormous. And we actually have somebody that stopped by. What's up, John TJ? How you doing, bro?
Doing good.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you. I actually have my camera on the wrong thing here. Man, what are your feelings overall about this ABK, bro? Like, what are you most excited about?
I'm excited that we got it, and also the fact that it's going to be awesome because they can upgrade the Call of Duty engine if they want to, because it's the same engine that idtech uses for Doom. So they could upgrade and make it more buttery smooth.
Yeah,
they could also give Halo some pointers.
Evolution of idtech, right? They modded it heavily, I believe, over the years, right? But the it
would help Call of Duties, I think.
Yeah. The engines, yeah, that's a good point, man. I mean, there's a lot of great technology that they're bringing in. It's also on the Blizzard side.
Oh yeah, I want to play Starcraft and Warcraft. I've never played those, and you know me and you have talked before. I played Command and Conquer and Dune 2000.
Yeah,
I love those to come back, but they'll never come back. So those franchises are dead, thanks to EA.
Command and Conquer's got to come back. I feel like Command and Conquer is.
Yeah, they just announced they're making their mobile game already again.
So. I think eventually Command and Conquer will come back in a big way. They did do the remastered, like what, 2 or 3 years ago, which has been awesome. So I think that's too big of a franchise to like gaming history for them just to let die.
Fun fact, that was actually made. They actually let the original creators from Westwood Studios, which is I forgot their name. Lemon Sky Studios. They're the ones that did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they remastered a lot of the music and all that kind of stuff too.
Are you excited for Blur possibly coming back? Because they did announce that. They said that it would at least be backwards compatible, which has never been. And then they're bringing back Prototype and Guitar Hero. So
when did they say that?
What do you think?
When did they say that?
It was in one of their posts. Because I don't know if it was Boom or I don't know who it was, but I was listening to one podcast where they were reading it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
it's going to be backwards compatible, and it's probably going to get the FPS boost and auto HDR. I don't know in terms of remake. I don't know about that, so don't quote me on that.
Shiba Army Brat says Bobby Kotick said it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a foregone conclusion that they're going to be doing back compat. We brought this up a long time ago. Like, I mean, about 2 years ago, almost, after this ABK deal first happened, when we were speculating about what does all this mean and stuff, we're like, hey, I bet they're going to, you know, do back compat. And people are like, oh, no, the back compat team is dead. I'm like, you know, guys don't think they're going to reactivate the back compat team once they acquire the amount of
Oh,
IP
hell
and
no.
games that they have now, like with Activision Blizzard. The only reason they shut that down is because they ran out of games they could do without publishers' permission. Well, guess what? Now
True.
Activision Blizzard, they don't need permission to put back compat in those games. They own them. So all they got to do is Microsoft's got to put the work and just get the back compat running on those games, and all of a sudden, they'll just be dropped, right? Now, Calorie says any rumors about back compat coming back are coming from Special Nick, so I don't believe them. It's gonna happen, Calorie. Like they
Oh,
don't
yeah. That
like.
was the other source. I forgot that's what I meant.
Yeah,
But it was coming from him too.
I mean, you could say it's an educated guess, right? I mean, the fact
Yeah.
is that when you acquire the studio that has $70 billion, they have all this like IP and stuff that's not being taken advantage of. Like with the team that's already been established at Microsoft, they've been working on other things, but you don't think they've already been working on some stuff in the behind the scenes with Back Compat to like
Oh,
get some
I
of these
bet.
games? 100%. They're just waiting for the okay, really, like and everything to get transition and stuff before they do some things. And I think that's part of where the Jez Corden rumors came from. From his sources, said that they were going to be putting in some games into
Yes.
into there sooner than later. But it sounds like it's going to be probably 2024 at least sometime. But yeah, Blur itself, hell yeah. I said that on the show last night. That's one of the games I absolutely
Yeah, I
look
got a
forward
question
to.
for you, Mav. Hey, so Blur doesn't have a studio right now because remember Bizarre Creations got shut down. That's the creators of Project Gotham Racing and
Yeah.
originally the creators of Blur, and they were also the co-developers with Lou Flux to make Vigilante 8. So, what do you think? Do you think Microsoft hires people and they renew the studio, or two, they go to Embracer and buy Bugbear Entertainment, the creators of Wreckfest, and let them take over the project? And let
Um,
Playground still run their own stuff.
I
That way, Playground has competition.
a
Just
lot of
saying.
a lot of the Bizarre Creations guys came in and formed Playground. So
Yeah, I know.
their DNA is probably already really within Playground themselves. So what they can do with the IP, I don't know. It depends. Like because they already have Forza Horizon, they're already working on Fable there. So I also know that
I know they're kind of full.
Playgrounds lost a couple of people that have went on to form other studios, and some of those people were former Bizarre Creations stuff as well. One of them is Maverick Games. So as far as
Yeah,
all that goes, I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Like most of the teams at Activision side right now are just been working on Call of Duty stuff for years. So I feel like if it was something Activision was looking to bring back, they would have already done it. Maybe use like one of the teams that did one of the Crash kart racing games or something like that. Like there's some talent there. But I don't know who
so
I don't know who they would get. I like
okay, well then here's another idea. They could just make it a mode in Forza. Just use the graphics of Forza and they could literally do it, make it a mode.
yeah, but they could have done that anyway, right? Even without Blur. Like
Well,
it,
well now they can. They don't have. There's no excuse now because you literally have the IP to do it.
yeah, I just don't think Blur is like it now I love Blur, but as far as like the average consumer and stuff out there, like there's not like a big outcry for Blur. So I feel like if they wanted to make a kart racing style mode, which Blur was basically like a futuristic kart racer. It's just what it was. It was fast paced, great handling and driving, but they had the like car battle mechanics of like a kart racer where you shoot each other and all that kind of stuff, right? So like if
Because we need a game like Twisted Metal or like Vigilante, because Sony's got Twisted Metal. So
yeah, that's a different kind of game than Blur though. Like Twisted Metal and Vigilante are more like destruction like kind of arena based games where
yeah,
Blur was a futuristic take on a kart racer, kind of like almost like a mix between F-Zero and Mario Kart. As the
I agree
best
with that.
yeah, best way I could try and explain what Blur was. Now I would love to see Blur come back. I think maybe if there's enough interest after the back compat, if it once it hits, maybe at that point they could do something with it. But they still like, as far as franchises for arcade racing goes, like they have Forza Horizon, and I feel like that's probably going to be their focus. Now, if they did a kart racer style mode within Forza Horizon for one of their expansions, I'd be 100%
That's what
down
I'm
with
saying.
that. But I don't
Yeah.
know if they would even call it Blur, because there's not a lot of.
Oh, no, they don't need to make it Blur. They could just like take the elements of Blur and put it in Forza
Yeah.
and make it a
But
kart
that's
racer
what
mode.
that's what I'm saying, though. They could have just done that before without owning the Blur IP.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if they wanted
True.
to, they could have always done that. So
What are you most excited for? What would be your dream game to come back, and what studio would you want to make it?
dream game to come back. The thing is, Activision.
Yeah, from Activision.
I mean, I would say for Blizzard side, actually, it would be StarCraft. I mean, StarCraft would be massive. Either StarCraft or Warcraft. And I'm not talking about World of Warcraft. I'm talking about
The RTS.
Yes, the RTS.
Yes,
I
I would love to play it. Tell you what, if they bring it back, me and you gotta play it, because we have not played an RTS.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. We got Age 2 or Age 4. We can play that sometime too.
True.
Bradley Carter hit us with a $5. Says, I'd like to see a new Interstate 76 with all of Microsoft's IP, with vehicles that fit the franchise. Warthog, Ghost, Crash Cars. Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting.
Oh, hell yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Interstate 76. Yeah. I don't even know if I played the original Interstate 76. Was that kind of like a road, like Rash type game? I don't even know what Interstate 76 gameplay is like, Bradley. Yeah, but let me know. Yeah, man. There's so many different possibilities too, but StarCraft I think is actually already in the works. Mike Ibarra's kind of teased at it and given hints about that before. I just don't think they're ready to announce it. And it's one of their huge IPs. They kind of done moving from one thing to the other, right? With bringing some of their bigger games back, like Diablo 4 was the next big thing. They have this other survival game at Blizzard as well, but I feel like there's a team working on StarCraft. So I'm hoping right about that at least.
Well, you would think so. With the war chest of Microsoft behind them now, they should be able to reboot these series because they'll flourish in Game Pass. That's the thing. People have a misconception. They say, well, you don't want to cannibalize the games. Well, I would get that if they were a different publisher or a different gaming corporation. I would totally understand that. I'd respect that. But knowing that they're all Microsoft owned, they're never going to leave Game Pass. People got to understand that. If it's a single player game, go ahead and release it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to get killed. It'll be playable regardless.
Yeah, makes some sense, man. Well, hey, John TJ, thanks for stopping by, dude. I'm going to get back to doing the solo thing for now until somebody else comes through, bro.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll catch up.
I love this idea.
Yeah, just decided to try it. I've seen other people do it, but like, I don't know, but yeah, thanks for coming through. First one to roll through. So
I appreciate it, bro. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Everybody hit the like button.
Right on, John. Have a good one, dude. Take it easy.
You too. See ya.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane, guys, like to think about what all of this means, on ABK and the implications. And we just heard like from John and stuff, just like some random things, just some random stuff that's just like different take, different perspective about possibilities and stuff like that. And it just continues and continues with different stuff. And we don't even know. It really, the most important person to really look at and figure out what they want is Phil Spencer. Right? Like, at the end of the day, where does Phil Spencer see? What did he have for the vision? And there's already been insight into that based on the leaks, right? So we know that what they saw in the value of Activision Blizzard, right? Because that was in the proposal and the pitches to the board to acquire Activision Blizzard about what do they do for them. First off, Battle.net, the PC storefront, way bigger than the Xbox PC store as far as popularity goes. Implementation with the games, people love battle.net, right? They're going to own that. So right then and there, you already have that going for you. Then you go into, well, obviously, the Call of Duty machine that is, and that is going to be a huge player. That's in there as well. But Phil said multiple times the dormant IP, and it's been also in there in the proposal as well. Their trove of IP and franchises and studios and development talent, right? There's so many different things that they could do. Then you look at the mobile side. This is absolutely giving them a better, bigger gateway into mobile gaming that is going to help establish themselves in that realm. Robert Maldonado with a $2 super chat. Appreciate you, Robert. Says, ain't no way Xbox is leaving in 2027 now after this. No, that was never going to happen in the first place. Sorry, Roberto Maldonado. Sorry. Yes. That was never a thing to begin with. Like, some PlayStation fanboy channels tried to run with this narrative. Here's the thing. The whole reason that and where that came from was questions when Phil Spencer is being asked about the importance of Activision Blizzard and all this kind of stuff. And they're trying to say that we need this to compete, right? Remember, Satya is like, let us compete. You know, all these things about let us compete. They, you know, we're weak. We're third place. Oh, woe is me, Microsoft, all these kind of things. They went in and got ZeniMax Bethesda. The pipeline train is already rolling, right? But if you're being asked questions about, like, hypotheticals, which is what Phil was being asked at, you're like, hypothetically, if we're not successful by the year 2027, we might have to abandon. Like, come on. Like, that's a hypothetical thing that was always a play to portray weakness in the grand scheme of things to convince these regulators and the courts that you need ABK to compete. Like, at the end of the day, that's all it was. And the channels that are running out there about, oh, Xbox is leaving the game industry in 2027. Look at all of the evidence on the contrary. Literally, around that same time when that conversation started, when people were pushing that, the entire roadmap for Xbox had leaked leading up to 2030. And yet those channels and those people were talking about Xbox is leaving the gaming industry in 2027 when we had the biggest Xbox leak in history, looking at the entire roadmap that they didn't want us to see. Yet those same channels are rolling around talking about 2027 Xbox is leaving the gaming industry. Get a freaking clue. These people had no idea what they were talking about. They were running with narratives like they always do, trying to put Xbox in a spot and try and make them seem down and weak and like they were on the fringe of a downfall. Yet, Xbox is spending $70 billion, the biggest acquisition in Microsoft history for gaming, because they're looking to get out of the gaming space. Somebody even left a comment on our channel saying, oh, Xbox is looking to leave gaming by 2027, and they're just going to bring all these new studios, including Activision Blizzard, with them. Yeah, they're buying stuff to sink them on purpose, intentionally. Get a rational thought in your brain. It doesn't make any damn sense. Yes, you remember the pundits from, what was it, Andy Robinson over at VGC said that, sources for me say that, you know, Microsoft might end up leaving the gaming industry or sell off Xbox or like all that kind of, really, they go from $70 billion acquisition. Even just ZeniMax Bethesda, get all these games going, this pipeline going, and just like, oh, yeah, never mind. They're not Google, all right? Yes, Microsoft has abandoned things before, but not in a space where they're actually ultra competitive. And people say, oh, they're not competitive because they've been in third place. You look at actual profit and market share of player base, they're actually extremely competitive. They're extremely competitive with this stuff. If you just focus on the metric of hardware sales, they're going to be 2-to-1. Even if you say that, that's still competitive. That's nothing like the mobile space, which people keep pointing to when they bought Nokia and backed and then ended up shutting that whole thing down, of trying to force your way in and to compete against Apple and Google, which have a clear dominance duopoly in the mobile space as far as mobile network or mobile devices goes for cell phones. They tried that. They couldn't crack even a marginal percentage of market share in that space. That's why they abandoned that. You look at this even in the gaming space, or even if you're 2-to-1 on hardware, that's still actually very competitive. At the end of the day, you actually have a substantial market share in that space. Not to mention the fact that they actually have more players. Xbox, get it through your heads, people. Xbox as an ecosystem has more players than PlayStation. They do. Look at the player numbers, especially now with ABK. You want to talk about owning hardware as the only access? No, you can play the games on PC. They've said that many times. They are focused on the entire ecosystem. The PC, the consoles, now the mobile space as well. Cloud gaming is all one ecosystem, one family. And it completely, honestly dwarfs what PlayStation has access to. Why do you think PlayStation is trying to branch out beyond the console now? Because they are behind with that. They are behind. There's more people that play Xbox games than PlayStation games. Even some of the most popular PlayStation games like Minecraft Dungeons, has more players. And I'm talking about the new Minecraft little spin-off game that came out a couple years ago. Minecraft Dungeons had over 28 million players already. And yet you're going to say that there's smaller, people don't play Xbox games and all this kind of stuff. Really? I mean, it's absolutely insane to think about. Can you believe that Minecraft Dungeons in less time actually had about the same amount of players as 2018 Spider-Man? And that's just one small game. You look at the player base for all these other games. Sea of Thieves had like over 30 million players or something like that. Like Forza Horizon 5 had over 32 million players. People have no clue. All they think about is console sales and hardware sales. Yes, that's for real. Forza Horizon 5 had just celebrated that they had over 32 million players. Jasper says, that's the problem. Xbox has people don't associate the games with Xbox. Yeah, I think maybe there's a lot of players that don't associate the games they play with Xbox because they're playing on PC. But to Xbox, does it really matter if they're playing? Like, all that really matters is for the Twitter console wars. Right? Like, at the end of the day, all it matters is for those people that are trying to talk crap and say that Xbox doesn't have any players or that nobody plays Xbox games and all of that kind of stuff. Like, these games get played more than PlayStation games. And that's just a fact. And not only that, even the games that they try and downplay this year, like Starfield and Forza Motorsport, they are actually huge successes. And they will go out there and try and say that they're failures to try and bring the Xbox brand down. But people are going to be playing these games for years and years, and the player base is going to keep growing. And there's going to be more and more players play those than most PlayStation games. That's just a fact. Starfield alone, even though people were so concerned about it not going to PlayStation, actually was the biggest launch in Bethesda history. That's as an Xbox first-party studio. And it's because of the way that the Xbox ecosystem operates. With Game Pass, that has over 30 million plus subscribers, PC, mobile, all these other factors playing into it now. Dark Zone says this deal's a death nail for PlayStation. I don't think PlayStation's dead. I just think PlayStation is behind a little bit with transitioning into a bigger, more unified ecosystem, and they've got to get that figured out. But their transition to this new style of games that they're making is going to be a rough one. And it's going to be interesting to see when these games come out. I am glad they are doing multiplayer stuff. I'm not excited about the multiplayer stuff that they've announced, though, besides Helldivers 2. And Bungie was always already making Marathon. I, would be excited for that either way, right? I'm gonna probably play it on Xbox at the end of the day because that's where I play most games, or PC now. Yeah, that's gonna be. I think Marathon will be a success for them. I think that Helldivers 2 has a chance to be a pretty cool, like, AA multiplayer experience. But other than that, they don't really have a lot of stuff. Where meanwhile, you already have so many successful multiplayer franchises on Xbox that branch across multiple devices. What PlayStation needs to do is they need to get their PC storefront up, and they need to get that up quick, and they need to start putting their games on PC day and date. They need to enable cross-buy. They need to enable all these things. Get with the program. Bradley Carter with a $10 super chat. Much appreciated, Bradley. Says, in order to get Sony players interested in hopping ship, I would set the last 3 Call of Duties of the 10-year deal in this Gears and Halo universe. Imagine a Reach mixed with Modern Warfare. That would cause an outcry probably from the Call of Duty community. I don't know. Jasper, do you think people would be excited for that, or do you think they would yell at Microsoft for doing that? I feel like Xbox guys might think it's cool, but really look at the 100+ million something Call of Duty players out there that are constantly playing Warzone and all these other games. Like, you might actually upset a few if you do that. But I would be into it personally. I think it would be cool. But what I think would be even cooler is if some of these Activision studios actually are interested in making spin-off games from Halo or Gears, right? Like, what if you have like Raven or Treyarch or something be interested in making some kind of Halo spin-off title? That'd be pretty sick. But I've also thought that about ZeniMax Bethesda and all these other studios. I feel like Halo especially is underutilized as just this mainline franchise, and there's not enough other things going on with it where it could be much bigger. I look at Halo could be kind of what Disney does with Star Wars and stuff. Like, but Xbox has the amount of studios within its own ecosystem that they don't have to branch out and find third parties. They can do it within their first party and make other experiences with Halo. Same thing with Gears or any of those games. Yeah, Jasper says, would that just be a Halo game or a Gears game at that point? It'd be crazy. I mean, maybe you see like Halo skins or like Gears skins or something. I don't know. Bit Cow Glaming, what's up, Bit? How you doing, dude? It says, sweet competition. Can't wait to see what the impact of this does with pushing PlayStation to getting it together. Dude, thank you so much for, like, BitCloud is one of the, like, absolute best PlayStation centric creators out there now. Like, just keeping it real. Like, and here's the thing, I've done some shit talking and stuff. I want PlayStation to succeed, but the criticisms that I've had at PlayStation are geared towards me as a consumer and what I want. And yes, is it wrong for me to say they need to do more things like Xbox? I don't know, but like, I look at value, and as a consumer, I think I'm getting a better deal. And also, if you factor in the fact all the things that Xbox has been acquiring and all these other things, the games is not going to be a problem. Like, the games, what used to be the issue with Xbox is not a problem anymore going forward. I mean, they already have like 5 first-party games announced for 2024. You already have a new flight sim. You already have Towerborn. You already have Hellblade 2. You already have Avowed. And you also have Aura announced right now for PC, all in the Xbox ecosystem. That doesn't even count day and date third-party games going into Game Pass or any of these other things. Like, or also potential surprises. Remember, we had 3 shadow drops this year. And like, for me, I'm looking at PlayStation of like, cool, I'm glad they're doing other things, and I've wanted them to. Because I personally, just as a self-interest in the kind of games I enjoy, I am not a huge like God of War fan or a Horizon fan. right? Or a Last of Us fan. I do like Ghost of Tsushima a lot. I love Uncharted, right? So there's been a lot of those kind of games come out recently that I'm just not as interested in. I love GT7. But looking forward right now into 2024, for me, it's like, I'm not really excited about a lot as a personally. Now, can some of these games be good? Can a Fair Games be good? Can a Concord be good? Yes, they can, but they're from unproven studios that I have no faith in right now. And honestly, Fair Games looked a little generic-y based on some of the other free-to-play type games of servicey. And I don't know if Fair Games is going to be free-to-play or not. I'm not sure. But like live servicey type games out there. So it's got to differentiate itself. It's got to grab an audience. Jade Raymond is a great name, and she's done amazing things in the past. But how does that translate to making a good live service game? I feel like PlayStation had the properties, they had the kind of games that they could have already launched some of these multiplayer experiences and started small and grew up from there. Factions was a disaster. Absolute disaster. How can you have not released one of your most popular multiplayer modes from last generation from the PS3 era, skipped ahead, into the Last of Us Part 2 at least? Like, how can that not happen? How can they not have that, right? Like, and to experiment with it behind the scenes, grow it to where the last thing we saw from it was a concept art when it was already way past when it should have released, and now it's on ice or potentially canceled is what the rumors are. That should have been there. Where's SOCOM? Where are these games that you actually have fan bases or that are designed and focused around multiplayer that you've had success before, and put teams around these kind of things? Now, like I said, can Fair Games be a success? Yes, but if you have Fair Games, Concord, and Marathon, that's kind of three futuristic games of service type games all launching within a year of each other. That just doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense when you're trying to differentiate your player base and try and grab different people. But you look at what Xbox is doing. They have Sea of Thieves, completely different from Grounded, completely different from Halo, completely different from Forza Horizon, completely different from, mostly different from Forza Motorsport, right? Flight Sim, all these other games of servicey type live service games differentiate themselves from each other. Gears of War, even. Three space like futuristic-y type games of service games all within a year of each other roughly just doesn't get me super excited for what's happening. And I want to be excited about those games. But Marathon right now is the only one that I have somewhat of a faith in, just because Bungie has a track record. BitCloud says, Last of Us Part 1 should have had an updated factions, but of course the fanboys wanted to damage control and said we didn't need it, and it was worth $70 when it was incomplete. Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I just don't get it. You know, a lot of the conversation that goes on, and then to try and downplay the games on the Xbox side. Meanwhile, you know, that what's happening on the other side with PlayStation right now. And there's no slide on Spider-Man 2, right? I'm sure it's going to be a big, great game and a huge success for them. I'll play it eventually as well. I did like Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man that came out. Not necessarily as Miles Morales, but I love the first Spider-Man. So eventually I'm going to get Spider-Man 2. But, like, that's just not enough for me for an entire year. You know, like Xbox got killed in 2022. We gave them a lot of criticism for what happened last year. And where's the criticism been for 2023 for PlayStation? Haven't seen a lot of it. And I think part of it's because of the transitioning phase going on right now with all these experiments behind the scenes. What I'm hoping, and I don't know if you're thinking this, BitCloud, I'm curious your thoughts on it, dude. What I'm hoping is the case is next year they do announce the PS5 Pro, and they've been holding back this year's announcements for that show to showcase the PS5 Pro and to showcase some of these big exciting games that they may have within a year or two from the release of from the announcement of the PS5 Pro. If that's a thing, if Tom Henderson is right, which he was about the Slim, so I'm going to assume he's right about the Pro. So that's the only way I can really try and salvage the showcases from PlayStation this year. Again, everybody, I got a Discord link in the chat if you want to hop in and have a little bit of a conversation about ABK. Tell me your thoughts on what this means for Xbox and gaming in the future. Hop into the Discord, hop into the Before the Show channel, and then I'll drag you in and give you some time so we can talk about ABK and what it means. Like, I know we've been heavy on PlayStation right here, right now, but at the end of the day, I think it does have an impact. Like Big Cloud was saying, like the impact will be felt. I know this puts pressure on PlayStation, regardless of what Jim said in the emails before about, hey, you know, they're going to be fine. This does put pressure on PlayStation because PlayStation was one of their biggest money makers. I mean, Call of Duty is one of the biggest money makers at PlayStation. The 30% they've been making from the transactions are actually maybe even more. I can't remember what the deal they worked out was, but the transactions they made from that game are huge. So if there's any kind of market share swing to the Xbox side there as well as also it's been, like Jasper pointed out the other day, there's already been a little bit of a market share swing with the Call of Duty player base going to PC more, right? So with all of these different things together add into the part where PlayStation's making maybe less money on some of these biggest games of service, live service type games in their storefront. Now, this even puts more pressure on them. Hence, they need these other games first party wise. And the reason they want first party is they make 100% of that shit as opposed to third party games where they make 30, right? So it just makes sense. But is it too late? Are they going to struggle too much in this transition? Because it's not a given to be successful with multiplayer games. Like, it's just not. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's a thing you have to be committed to and dedicated to. What's up, Big Cloud? How you doing, bro? It would let you get connected to the audio. I think you're on mute. I see you there, but your mic is says it's muted. I don't know if you're just trying to connect to the audio. But let me know when you get in there. You leaving and coming back. Right on. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot at stake, and I think PlayStation really needs some of these games to hit. So we're gonna find out.
There you go.
There we go. What's up, Bit? How you doing, bro?
Chilling, brother. Chilling. Good to see you. What's going on?
Yeah. Thanks for hopping in. I'm trying something different with having like a Discord thing going where people can kind of hop in and talk a little bit.
Yeah, what's going on? Nah, okay, I see.
I do hear I hear the YouTube thing in the background.
Yeah, I get it. There you go.
Thanks, bro.
Mm-hmm. There you go. See me loud and clear? There you go.
Yeah. First off, tell everybody about your channel, right? Because you got a huge channel where you talk mostly PlayStation. I know you talk Xbox too, but
I mean, obviously, you know, things are changing. The industry's changed around us, so you know, you got to go with the times. So we're actually transitioning a lot of things around. We're covering more than just PlayStation, but 2024 is gonna be a different type of year for yours truly because of things happen behind the scenes. But yeah, but as far as, you know, right now, at least, it is it looks like it's only PlayStation, but you're actually going to see a lot of Xbox and everything else. But it's Big Cloud Gaming. I cover, you know, everything. I literally have a podcast called RGT. We talk about the news. We have fun. You know, we chill with everybody. And we give you the news. We give you our opinions raw, uncut, you know, as you've already seen when it comes to this community, when you're honest. A lot of people don't like honesty. They prefer you to grift type of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
So
we don't do that.
That's a good point, though. You talk about the changing and stuff. And I've been saying this, like, I was talking about this the other day. Because, you know, you have some of these, it's content creation, right? And these kind of creators you're talking about, a lot of them that have been trying to milk the, like, trash Xbox kind of talk for a long time, despite the other things. And you're definitely never one of those, right? Which is one of the reasons I highly respect everything you do there. But like, do you see some of those channels kind of flip flopping again, like as times change in the next couple of years?
You know, we make fun of them every day, right? Because like you think about it, remember how the transition phase from games going to PC and console, right? From console to PC. Remember how I was like, oh, they're 5-year-old games. Then it's like, oh, they're 4-year-old games. Well, they're 3-year-old games. I don't care. Then it went to 2. Yeah. Now it's only a year. You know what I'm saying? You see how quick the goalpost moves? So eventually it's going to get there. They're already testing trophies on PC.
Yeah.
Day and date is inevitable. I keep telling people this. It's going to happen in some capacity. It might be at the end of this generation where they figure it out, or it might be in the middle. You see what I'm saying? Like mid of this. We don't know. But it's happening, and people need to understand that and stop trying to argue with it. The weird part about it, though, is the tribalism behind it. Yeah. You know, everybody is so quick to throw the I hate Xbox, Xbox is trash narrative out there. But when PlayStation does something similar, it gets swept under the rug.
Yeah.
That's what kills me. It's like, where's the consistency? If you're going to talk like you're all about quality and you want the best out of the competition, and then when you see the competition literally trying to compete, doing something, and what's happening in our box not doing anything, I think that's a problem. And you have nothing to say about it? Come on, that's a problem. So personally, I don't get attached to anything. You know, I already know how the business works. I've talked to so many people behind the scenes. I've talked to more people through me just writing. I want you to think about that. I've talked to more people in the industry through writing reviews than just dedicating to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I've branched out to that point. It's crazy how much I've done outside this. I don't need the YouTube channel. I don't need to put on a fake facade to push viewership and all this dumb stuff. I don't need negativity to grow a channel. I just don't. I'd rather do it on my own terms with people that get it. You know what I'm saying? And just have fun with it. But the problem is, though, everybody's so quick to jump on the hate bandwagon, and then they look stupid when nothing happens on their side. Think about it. What has Sony done in 2023? Because you were bringing up a good point here. What has happened in 2023? We've had price hikes. We've had unnecessary hardware that nobody cares about, which is that portable, right? We got a new Slim that was just announced a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and that's more expensive, like, you know, like for the digital version, at least. And the vertical stand things. Freaking joke.
That's a slap in the face, because we got that for free. Those who bought PS5s got that stuff for free, and it was no additional cost. In fact, it was a multi-use stand.
Yeah.
Remember, it can do it for vertical and horizontal. So here they go saying, oh, by the way, that stand, it can work on your base model PS5. Really? It can work on your base model PS5. Why would I spend $30 on a stand? I already have one. Doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So you got a new stand that's $30. They give you this little piece of plastic that they're calling the stand, which kind of looks like the Nintendo Switch thing. You know what I'm talking about? With the little leg that pops out when you hold it there. It looks just like that when it's in horizontal. So it's like Sony's clearly taking the piss out of their damn like fan base. And I don't mean to curse much, but that's literally what they're doing with the fan base.
Part of the reason I think that is, and like, because if you saw the financials, right, that had come out the last several times in PlayStation, and that their own people from PlayStation commented on these financials and talked about them in interviews and stuff, that the software sales were down, the content and services were down, hardware was up, right? But you didn't make as much profit on hardware. And PlayStation never has made a ton of profit on the hardware until later in the generation, right? And the same thing with Xbox. Switch is the only one that's like super profitable usually from the start, or the Nintendo, right?
Yeah, Nintendo's a different like breed
that's
of
why
fan.
they're so underpowered and all that kind of stuff, right? But like, you know, PlayStation, you look at it, okay, so their software and services are down. They're and all of that kind of stuff. So at that point, where are they selling right now? A lot of it's hardware. And so they're trying to make as much profit out of these boxes, I feel like, as they can get. You know, especially with the bundles coming up and all these things probably going forward.
And this is where I differentiate myself, or just separate myself. And I'm glad Badbit caught on to it as well. Me and Badbit, we saw the signs early on and just moved away from a lot of people who claim to be PlayStation reps, you know, who rep PlayStation. Yeah. You see how weird they act in regards to this, right? Like, every decision as of late from PlayStation has been making you pay more and get significantly less, if you think about it. Last of Us Part 1, I brought this up in the chat because this is a good point here. Now, notice how Factions is on ice. Probably 50-50 chance of getting canceled.
Yeah.
Right?
Which
That's
is
on
the
ice.
latest rumor. It's crazy. I saw somebody say this, like, imagine if Xbox did that with one of their big games.
Oh,
right?
It'd be nonstop. It'd be nonstop talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
be
mean,
nonstop.
it was a promise. You know what I mean? And regardless if they deliver on it, like, it was an expectation and stuff. And like, I feel like because it was never as popular as like a Halo or something multiplayer wise, like they just kind of gave them a pass with that. Like, it was like, oh, and it was an experiment. You know, they're trying to do something that didn't work out, but it's like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, they needed some good multiplayer first party games there. And like, how that's one that I just don't understand how you can fumble. Like,
yeah, I agree. It's just so much dumb like decisions. Like most of the stuff we played, you really look at it with a magnifying glass. You know, if you take the magnifying glass they put on the Xbox and put it on PlayStation, most of the stuff that you played on PS5 has been remastered stuff you already played on PS4. What do you think about that? Most stuff is just re-releases.
Yeah,
so
it's sequels and remasters and definitive editions and stuff.
Yeah, Last of Us 2 is getting a remaster instead of, you know, Bloodborne, which people have been begging for. How many times have you seen it? Fun, like, come on, be honest with me, Matt. How many times have you seen Bloodborne trend on Twitter for a remake?
Oh, tons of time. I know. Batman's like desperate for it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we're desperate for it.
I don't know the things that he would do to get that Bloodborne remake or remaster. You know what I mean?
Because listen, that game is criminally underrated. That's the game that people want. They want to see that run at 60. They want to see that game actually run at a good frame rate. Like, listen, what they did with Demon's Souls was perfect. They want that for Bloodborne. They want that type of experience. So you know what your fans want, but you're not giving your fans what you want. You're talking about Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us Part 2 divided the fan base. And there's a lot of hate towards Naughty Dog just from the Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
So,
and then now
you know what I'm saying?
Remaster that one as well. So it's like, I don't know. I know they already got flack with the Last of Us Part 1 second remaster or the remake or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
And then now to do that again, it just kind of I know why they're doing it though. Like, from a business perspective, they're porting it to PC. Right, so they're gonna put work in because you can't port like a 3 or 4 year old game in and not put extra work in to bring it up to current standards, right? And put it on PC because the PC community isn't gonna tolerate that, and they're gonna want to charge full price. They're not gonna want to give like a $30 or $40 game, so they're gonna go and charge $60-$70 or whatever.
They're probably just gonna add haptics. That's the wild part about this, and this is where I keep trying to tell PlayStation fanboys to wake up because they're charging you for stuff that's basic in this right here, and I'm about to hold my hand here. So they're charging you for haptics mostly. See this right? That's what they're charging you mostly for is haptics. So when it says remaster, what they're really saying is just new haptic features. That's basically what it's going to come with. It's going to come with haptics. It's not going to come with anything else. Because you know what's funny about Last of Us Part 2? There's already a patch for it that makes it run at 60 on PS5, the base model one. So 60 FPS is already an option for you if you're playing Last of Us Part 2 or if you were holding out for it on PS4. You already had that options. That's it. So all they're doing is charging you 70 for haptic features and accessibility features. That's what they're going to do. They're going to hide accessibility features and rumble haptic feedback behind it. The PC joint, they're just going to have it at $50. Like, do you think they're not going to charge you 70? That's a funny thing, the denial. Sony would never charge us $70 for this. They've already done it with Last of Us Part 1, and that game was incomplete. It didn't even come with factions.
Yep.
Think about that. That's just how Sony's doing it.
And then they're going to go ahead and re-release it on PlayStation 5 as well at the same time, just to like have an, you know, hey, you know, all these visuals are going to be the way you Last of Us Part 2 meant to be played or whatever. They'll change like the character model on one of the characters, like or something like that. Like they've done that twice. They did it with Spider-Man now, and they did it with the Last of Us, some of the Last of Us character models as well, right? Where they've actually changed the actor that portrays the character or whatever. And they'll probably do some of that too. And it's like, oh wow, this is all brand new animations and all this kind of like, right, sure, yeah.
I love the internet because the internet cracks me up though. Like again, like all the praise you're seeing Spider-Man 2 get. First of all, that's genuine praise. I'm glad the game's getting praise. I'm proud of Insomniac Games, what they're doing. Great studio. But if you remember at the PlayStation reveal, when we first saw the gameplay for Spider-Man 2, what were they saying, Matt? Oh, the game looks downgraded. It's more of the same. Then it took one more trailer where they just polished it up to show you the finished build. All of a sudden, it's the greatest thing. Like this is the hypocrisy and inconsistency with fanboys. That's why I don't pay any attention to PlayStation fanboys anymore. So many of them just do it for attention, and then like I so beautifully illustrated not too long ago with one particular fanboy on my channel who represents PlayStation, which by the way he doesn't represent me or Bad Bit or any real PlayStation guy, but I already illustrated very beautifully that guys like that who spend 90% of their time on Twitter do not play PlayStation games. They do not beat PlayStation games. They do not have time for games. They have every excuse in the world to run on Twitter, talk about deals like they're businessmen, talk about how this ain't going to happen, like they have any knowledge of the industry, but they have zero time to put in that box.
Yeah.
That's what I illustrated beautifully done. And, again, some people hated me for doing it, but listen, it needed to be done. I can't have fraudulence which act like they represent me, Bad Bit, or any other PlayStation guy who really does care about the brand and who wants better. But it's just wild. Every time you speak up, there's always some weird comment you get. Like, oh, there's no way you're going to get this, that, and the third. It's like, no, you're going to get this, that, and the third. And it's going to happen. And it's going to happen in record time. And by the way, Sony is conditioned, guys, as a late. Remember, everybody, beforehand, we were paying $50 for games. Just think about that, Matt. We're paying $50 for games.
Yeah.
Then we went to 60. Then when the rumor came that it was going to be 60, dudes were in denial. Oh, it's not going to happen, right? Then as soon as they saw the first graphics, oh, we're paying for quality.
Yep.
We're paying for quality. Okay. Where's the quality? Because last time I checked, half these games are incomplete. Where's the quality when most of these games you've already played?
$70 has not improved gaming whatsoever. Like they kept talking about forever that this was necessary, right? And the fear was that if it was accepted, everybody would end up getting on board. And that's what I had. That's what but when you had the IGNs out there on their podcasts, like, oh, it's time because of inflation and all that. We've been paying $60 for a long time. $70 is okay. All this stuff. I was like, no, this is not cool. And then when PlayStation was the first platform holder to embrace it, that was when it was really over as far as the conversation goes. Because once they got the platform holder on board, the 2Ks and the EAs and anybody else, Activisions at the time that were doing it were justified, right? This is a new standard, right? Xbox eventually now went on board. Even Nintendo is now on the $70 train, and with some of their games. And it's like, okay, I get it. At the end of the day, you got to make your bang for your buck and all that stuff. But some of the most successful games so far in the last few years have been $60 games, right? Elden Ring, the smash hit from 2022. Nobody was complaining about the quality of that game. Nobody was talking about the lack of content with that game. Really, no microtransactions or anything like that. Launch complete state. Now, it's not necessarily my type of game, right? But it was a fantastic game that millions and millions of people loved. And look what it did for Bandai Namco. Right?
Yeah, no, it's wild because, you got to think about the guys behind Elden Ring. They gave you Bloodborne, right? I remember when, as soon as they announced that game was multiplied, all of a sudden these guys are overrated. I'm like, overrated?
Yeah.
When the hell is since when is From Software overrated? That's the weird disconnect with fanboys because they want to push a narrative. Like the game's not that good. It's the easiest Souls game, and yet these dudes ain't even beat the damn game. So I was like, listen, I'm a proud owner of the platinum for Elden Ring. Actually been contemplating if I want to go do it again on the PS4 version. That's how much I love the game. But man, listen, like it's crazy just how wild and extreme people will go to push narratives.
Yeah.
It's really extreme.
Another example, Armored Core, which broke out of its niche finally. Like they just announced today, like they had like 2.8 million like sales or something of Armored Core 6. Which is awesome. It's not the same thing as like an Elden Ring or something like that, but when you compare it to past Armored Core games, this is like 5 times the amount that those games sold, right? Like, and again, $60, right? Like,
it's good to see the Souls games doing well. They don't
have to charge $70. They just still don't to this day, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I got no problem if the game really, really is amazing. Like Liza P. Liza P is incredible for what I've seen with Liza P. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that. Elden Ring, incredible. They could have charged me 70 and I wouldn't complain about Elden Ring being 70. Why? Just because the amount of hours you get out of that game, the amount of just bosses you fight, and just so much you can do in the world, it really kept you engaged. You know what I mean? From start to finish until you got to the final boss, if you wanted to end it or whatever. So I wouldn't even complain about those. But yeah, you're right though. Those games have been cheaper and have delivered more. And you know, and it's crazy because games that I was surprised to get a lot of flack ended up being amazing. But the games that haven't been amazing are getting the flack that they deserve. Like, look at Foam Stars.
Yeah.
You got to do is damage control and Foam Stars, but yet games like Hogwarts Legacy, which is like a love letter to Harry Potter fans, is getting hated on because of J.K. Rowling, even though J.K. Rowling has nothing to do with the team on what is being put into that game.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like, that's just the weird, like, that's the weird little difference going on here. And it's like, I just don't get it. But yeah, that's what it is.
That even happened with one of the reviewers for Starfield, right? Jim Sterling guy gave it a 4, right, which is weighted on meta, and basically just called Bethesda trans haters in his review, and also has admittedly says he hates Xbox and will always be biased against Xbox. Yet somehow, you know, these conversations get used against games that to downplay the significance of them. Like Starfield is still being called a unsuccessful game, or like Forza is the latest one. It's like, oh, these games, like, and I hear it from some on the PlayStation side about like, oh yeah, like PlayStation, like Xbox has games. You mean games like Starfield and Forza Motorsport? Like, yeah, I'm fucking enjoying the hell out of those games. You know what I mean? And I will be for years. Like, and I feel like it's a thing about a preference, or just maybe it's just a fake facade to try and.
I love the narrative though, because that narrative is kind of. If you think about it, the narrative slowly faded away. Remember how it was just Halo, Gears, Forza, Halo, Gears, Forza. Well, now it's more than just that. You got Starfield, you got the Doom series, you now got the Call of Duty games, you got Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. There's a lot of games you guys have at your disposal that you will be getting. They pretty much confirmed they're committed to giving you those games. So what's funny about that though? They're like Halo, Gears, Forza. That's all you got, and yet. I put out one tweet. I knew what I was doing with this tweet. It was just brilliant because I knew what I was going to do, the reaction. But I flat out said, listen, especially after the news of The Last of Us 2, I was like, listen, Last of Us has pretty much become the new Forza. There's no denying it. It's the new Forza. Like, we have seen more Last of Us remakes than we have anything for factions or even a part 3. That is the new Forza for PlayStation right now. It's sad.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Spider-Man 2 in a way, but Spider-Man, I guess, it really, for me, it's less so Spider-Man because the two main games, I feel like, Spider-Man 1 and 2 are further apart, right? They are, it's going on 5 years now, right? So, that's far enough a distance, right? They did fill in the gap right there, in between with Miles Morales, which was, to me, is more like a 1.5 type game, right? But you know, I feel like Insomniac's been carrying the load in some ways. We got
100%.
We got a super chat from Alvin, and he asked us a question. Thanks, Alvin. Appreciate it with the 5. Says, hey Mav and BitCloud, Ghost is my favorite Sony game, and I'm wondering if y'all think they'll stick to the formula or make it a multiplayer centric thing.
So knowing Sucker Punch, yes, they're gonna stick to what works. They'll probably add on to it new ninja type of techniques, new, you know, inventive ways of taking out enemies that only a ninja assassin would think of. Like, for example, you guys remember that little kunai that Scorpion uses? They might throw something like that in the game, you know what I mean, for longer range kill or something like that, just to mix it up and make it even more cool. But yeah, I do believe all that stuff will carry over. I do believe the ghost dance, all that stuff that was great in the first game, you know, that beautiful color palette, all that stuff's going to come back and then some. It's going to look enhanced in 2025 or 2024, sorry, when we start seeing PS5 Pro. Because yeah, I do believe PS5 Pro games are going to be started showing, or they're going to start showing games running on the Pro, and then they'll release the Pro at the end of the year, or like at around the same time they did the Slim. But as far as the multiplayer was well received, so I do see that being added as well. I just don't see it being like a big vital thing that's needed to get like suits and all that stuff. I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be additional.
It didn't get played that much though, right? Like as far as player base and multiplayer,
there's a following though. I think they'll remove it or they'll bring it back just because it has a following. And and Sony needs multiplayer, so
it's something I feel like they can use as a base and kind of grow. Like I think that's what they should have done with factions. Like you had some excitement and you had a base there. Now, Factions was more popular, I think, than the Ghost of Tsushima co-op mode, but you have something there. You can establish it and grow it. It's not necessarily going to be the smash success from the get-go, but I think being there day and date at launch for Ghost 2 will help as well.
Unless they do like their own dedicated like storylines for the multiplayer, like you need a posse of 3 or whatever to take out certain enemies, you know what I mean? And it unlocks like an Elseworld type of story, like it bridges the gap between like because you obviously, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a time jump, right? Before like after he became the ghost in this one to part 2. I don't think it immediately just takes up immediately. No, I think it's gonna be a time jump. He's gonna be more attuned with being an assassin rather than a ninja, or I'm sorry, a ninja assassin than he is like a regular samurai. So I do think that they could do something like that. There's a lot of good ideas for Ghost of Tsushima. I can't wait to see it. I really can't wait to see it. It's an amazing game, amazing soundtrack, beautiful just cinematography. I love the game. It's fantastic.
I want to go back to one of your comments you made earlier in the chat. You had said, sweet competition. Can't wait to see what the impact of this does with pushing PlayStation to getting it together.
Yeah.
How do you think this impacts them with their, what kind of pressure and changes do you feel like this causes PlayStation to make?
I mean, well, the number one thing that you all have seen for the longest time before the deal and all this stuff happened was Sony using Call of Duty as a crutch. I've said this on Boom Show. I'm saying it here. I've said it on mine. I've said it everywhere. Like Sony always used Call of Duty as a crutch to mask a problem that they've always had when it comes to multiplayer. They've had multiple games that have multiplayer, that could use multiplayer or have had established multiplayer that they could have brought back moments ago, like years ago, and they wouldn't have this problem. Killzone has a good multiplayer. What was it? Cypher, not Cypher. SOCOM has a good multiplayer. Resistance Fallen Man has a good multiplayer. You see what I'm saying? There's multiple games. MotorStorm has good multiplayer. Where's MotorStorm? There are multiple games you have that have had multiplayer that you could have brought back and you would have been fine with multiplayer. The problem with Sony is that they did not want to elevate or innovate and go into that direction. They wanted to sit back and stay into their own. It's kind of like Nintendo, you know, like the old Japanese saying, like, you know, they're stuck in their old ways. Like Nintendo's stuck in the gimmicks. Sony stuck in just like not trying to do as much, right? They'll do what needs to be done to get with the times, right? But they won't go overboard and really push forward. It's more like an imitation than a crazy, insane improvement. That makes sense? Yeah. Like, look at the PS4. The PS4 is an imitation, but improvement in a sense of the 360, right? I think we all can agree. That's basically what it is. It's basically like the 360. Yeah. That's basically what that is.
They had finally added party chat and gotten a lot of their online network stuff going better and all that kind of stuff. It's, the digital storefront was improved at that point. It was pretty much, you're right, like moving with the times that Xbox had created the last gen.
Yeah, and I agree with that in the comment. I was about to bring that up, Nikita. Yes, where's Mag? Mag was a good game. You have multiple games in your pipeline. You have the biggest library of games that you can choose from. If I was a developer and I had the funding and I can choose, and you gave me the opportunity to make a multiplayer game or make multiplayer games, I can pick 3 IDs right now, and all 3 of these will have the internet jumping and buzzing. Why? Because those are multiplayer games that people want to play. It is that simple. You know, forcing multiplayer in games where it don't need it. And you know what's even more funny about it? I'm pretty damn sure you play Factions, right?
Yeah, I played some. I didn't play a lot of it. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was okay, right? But I wasn't like super into it, just because I'm not super into The Last of Us in general. But not to say it's a bad game or whatever. I think it's actually a fantastic game. I'm just not.
The mini game. You remember that little mini game they did where it's like survive 12 months or whatever, and you got to feed your survivors with like how you do when they match or whatever. Like you're getting supplies and you're feeding them, and if you don't feed them, they get sick, hungry, and they die. I guarantee you, Naughty Dog was probably thinking something sleazy, like, "Hey, let's charge the consumer for resources." So that they don't feel like they lost. I have a feeling that probably was something they were thinking of, and maybe that got cut.
$2 for some bread.
Like $2 for bread or a loaf of bread, you know what I'm saying? Some rare bread that will keep everybody alive and healthy for X amount of time. I wouldn't be surprised they were thinking like that. I would not be surprised. And they would probably like, yo, you know what? They'll eat this up. Why? Because they bought all the weapons we got. And again, that's another thing. You got 2 games that have a big variety of weapons, yet you limit the player in the first factions. Just give the OG weapons back. If you need to release weapons like how Call of Duty used to do it back when they were doing it right, like $2 a gun, you know what I'm talking about? Like $5 a gun.
Yeah.
Do it like that if you need to do that. Or skins, like I can think of so many ideas to help that damn game, and that game would have been released by now. The problem is, though, Naughty Dog is out their comfort zone. They're too busy trying to focus on TV shows rather than gaming, and it's showing. And the community's starting to wake up. Some people are still making excuses. I was like, listen, y'all can make excuses all you want, but listen, by the time Factions comes out, it's going to be 2027 at this point.
Last of Us Part 3, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be part 3 time. So I don't believe anything that comes out of Naughty Dog. I'm not saying Naughty Dog's a bad studio. Neither is Mav here. We're not saying they're a bad studio. It's just Naughty Dog's clearly, they lost their edge right now. They've fallen down the tier list. Insomniac Game has done so much in such little time. It's actually scary how many games that studio has dropped, and they all have been bangers. Sure, they haven't been on that crazy Game Award type of reveal type of type of thing where they got all these awards. Sure, Spider-Man 2018, they get this insane amount of awards that Naughty Dog's Last of Us got. Sure, we can admit to that. But the thing is, you can't deny that Insomniac's been the one holding PlayStation up. Sony Santa Monica has been the second studio that's been holding PlayStation into that relevant slot. Since then, there hasn't been anything. Demolition Games. There's no update on Demolition Games. Why? Because there's been layoffs of Demolition Games. If I remember correctly. There's no updates on Jade Raymond's game, aka Fair Games. We just saw a trailer for it. We don't know when that game's dropping. We don't know nothing. We haven't got no update on Sucker Punch. Yeah. I mean, do I need to continue? Like the list goes on.
Yeah. I want Infamous to come back. I loved Infamous, but like I feel like because Spider-Man exists from Insomniac, they're not going to do Infamous anymore from Sucker Punch. Which is sad to me. But another game that was out there was Resistance. You know, like that. You want to talk about that would have been a good template for multiplayer, right? Using that franchise as well. So,
dude, I lost hours. I mean, I lost count how many hours I put into Part 2's multiplayer. It was fun. Like it's a good multiplayer. It's fun.
Nikita Percy asked a question. Says, Mav, do you think Sony will make a Spider-Man games as a service game at some point?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like they don't. Like Insomniac's not like a big multiplayer team. I know they've done some stuff before, like Sunset Overdrive had co-op and stuff in it and stuff like that, right? But as far as creating a big multiplayer experience out of Spider-Man, I feel like they would need the right team and they would go for more than just Spider-Man. They would go into bigger territory with Marvel, but like at that point, does Marvel go to a different team anyway for that? And it's just multi-plat, you know what I mean? So it would be kind of a harder thing to do because originally what happened with Spider-Man was Marvel went to Insomniac, right? That whole deal came together. PlayStation becomes the publisher and gets the exclusive rights to it and all that kind of stuff just kind of worked out that way. And then it becomes a big PlayStation exclusive franchise. And creating that same dynamic for a big multiplayer game would be a different animal. And it's also Disney's doing some different things right now. They're even talking about potentially like becoming their own gaming giant. I don't know if that's going to actually play out, and I have fears about that if they try and do it because I kind of like the model they have going now where they get a bunch of different publishers and studios making different games, and I think it's going to lead to them more success. The issue that Disney has is when they see one of these games have success, they're like, oh, we want that money, not the licensing money that we got for the game. But the thing is that they're also going to limit the amount of games they can do if they start taking on the investment of producing all of them. If one of them fails, they'll lose taste with it like they have numerous times before when Disney got into actually publishing their own games. And then you'll have studio closures and all these kind of things because at the end of the day, Disney doesn't have the stomach for large expenses that get that flop, right? So I like the safer approach they're taking now, and if there's a game that flops, it's not really it doesn't really affect Disney that much, right? They got their money for the license, you know. So and Spider-Man's been a huge success, and I think they see Spider-Man success, and they kind of see like, oh, that could have just been ours alone, and we could have put it more places and all these different things and made so much money off of it, but it's not necessarily like that easy. You know, so.
Well, what I love about this, and this goes to Insomniac just doing it right. You know what I mean? Like building up proper. they already we already know another. This is a crazy thing. We know more about Insomniac's roadmap than Naughty Dog's. Think about that. But
Yeah.
Wolverine is still in the pipeline. We haven't even gotten into the reveal of that yet. So we haven't gotten into the gameplay reveal of that. But from what they're doing, they're building their own MCU type of roster. So when they do get to a big game, I wouldn't say it's unlikely you won't see multiplayer games of service stuff. Probably if they ever wanted to do it, but I just don't see it. I think the single player formula is just working for them, like it's working charms for them at this point where they're having fun with it. And I think that's why the game's just translated so well. But there's just so many things like these that this studio can do with the MCU roster that, that just has me more excited than anything that's coming out of most of these studios. Why? Because I haven't seen anything that's wowed me.
Yeah.
As of late from these studios. That makes sense. Like Returnal was a nice surprise, and shout out to Housemarque. That was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
But there hasn't really been anything.
I actually kind of like that game. It's very different. It's different from everything else that they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it doesn't hold your hand. Yeah.
It felt like, okay, this is a difficult, interesting game, but it's not necessarily the same as like all their other story based, like kind of carry you along the pathway type games. And I feel like they kind of had gotten a little bit too pigeonholed into what they've cultivated with their own fan base and their own studios, right? Saying like this is the premium experience. This is the only thing that is matters when it comes to quality in this type of game. And now they're in this situation where they had those shows this year where they didn't have any big announcements that really excited and surprised the fan base, because they weren't the kind of games that PlayStation fans are used to or expecting, right? When they announced Fair Games and Concord, like they kind of fell flat as announcements. And I don't know if they were surprised by that, but it did seem like there's not, and I was surprised about this, dude, that this year at the shows they had, they didn't set the stage for 2024 very well in 2025, when PlayStation's been a company that generally has announced games pretty far in advance. Right.
They spent all their time trying to fight this Activision Blizzard deal, and it clearly shows that's what their attention was on this entire year. It's been trying to stop the deal, trying to stop the merger. It was embarrassing just sitting there and watch the whole thing fall out. I'm like, dude, I want this to go through just out of spite, because I'm tired of seeing this. I really want to see this go through, and I'm tired of the idiots, with these dumb comments saying it's not gonna go through, like they're lawyers, and then look at them, they're looking even more dumb than they do on Twitter. Yeah. So it was like, I wanted this to go through. Once it went through, I was like, thank God. Now competition can actually get through, and we could actually get some good games continue, or actually possibly get some good announcements now from PlayStation. Sony can stop doing these ridiculously bad state of plays that feel like more of an insult than a celebration. You know what I mean? Like, I want that out of PlayStation. But who knows, man? It's crazy because what was that game? Helldivers and Final Fantasy Rebirth. Those games were slated for this year.
Yeah.
But Sony knew they don't have nothing for 2024. So they stealthily moved those to 2024. It's like, I think people need to understand and wake up. Like, no, it wasn't because the year was crowded. Sony will release a game in a crowded year. They already did that with Horizon. They will release a game in a crowd.
This year was not crowded.
Exactly.
For first party,
exactly. They can release a game in a say a month. It's another big game. They've done that with Horizon. There's no issue whatsoever with that. The problem is Sony knew they didn't have anything for 2024, and people thought they had so much. They thought they had this big roadmap. It's like, sorry, Chief, you'd be surprised what's happening behind the scenes. There's a lot of things that you don't know that I heard that it's not happening. That's why I've been like sitting here, like I'm so nonchalant about it, because I already knew what was going to happen. You think about it. Sony did more talks about accessories, Meth, than they did about games this entire year. They talked about headsets. They talked about earbuds. They talked about a new portable. They talked about what? A new console. How many consoles, headsets has Microsoft talked about this year, Meth? Go ahead. Answer for the chat.
Well, they had the leak, but personally themselves did not talk about anything, unless you count new controller designs. They have like 1 million of those, but that's just like a little short video they put out on Twitter and YouTube or whatever like that. It's not like a focal point of a showcase. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's literally like Jim Ryan was tone deaf, just like Naughty Dog has been acting tone deaf. It's like a lot of studios have been acting tone deaf. It's like you know what your fan base wants, so for the love of God, give your consumers what they want, so they can throw their money at you, and you be better. Stop trying to push this other stuff. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know, games as a service, it can work with a lot of PlayStation games. Will it work for every game? No, and I can say that for Xbox as well. Not every game on Xbox needs to be a service because it won't work. It won't flow naturally. You know what I'm saying? Crash Bandicoot as a games as a service. Is anybody really going to play Crash Bandicoot as a games as a service or Spyro as a games as a service? Absolutely not. You guys want that original traditional experience. It's okay to pay for additional stuff if it's worth it, sure. But to change the whole formula, no. Not every game's formula is going to support a games as a service. Pure, is that simple?
Yeah.
Point blank period.
I got a question for you, BitCloud. The we've talked a lot about PlayStation and stuff, but like as far as just Xbox in and of itself, right? Do you think this is going to help increase the mind share and overall potential popularity of Xbox in the next couple of years? Now, the games get played a ton, right? And whether on PC and all these things, we see the player counts and the numbers all the time, and they're actually pretty damn huge, right? Regardless if people think it is or not. But overall, like I would say Xbox has kind of had this, like, they don't have the cool card, right? Like the casual or whatever, the de facto piece of hardware to buy if you're looking for a next gen console has been since early PS4 era PlayStation, right? And a lot of that was Xbox is doing with the whole DRM situation, pissing a lot of people off. Then they had studio closures. They went too heavy into Connect and all these different scenarios. They went into this generation and started out with a lot of momentum. And then they had 2022 happen, and it kind of sucked a lot of that momentum out. But 2023, as much as people tried to shit talk and still say these things were happening, 2023 was absolutely one of the best years ever for Xbox releases. Absolutely insane.
It's a great year.
This momentum is back up on the uptrain, and now you have ABK. Does this help with that aspect?
Well, I mean, think about it. Think about this, like a Call of Duty when they fixed the servers, when Microsoft helped fix the servers. Notice how numbers jumped ridiculously high, right? It blew up completely high. I do see this helping them a lot because, first of all, Call of Duty by itself, is going to drive anything. The problem with Call of Duty, again, and this is why I'm glad Bobby Kotick is getting the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Personally, because
the morale a lot faster than I thought too, which is
he's getting the hell out of there. Which they already knew what the problem was, and they getting the hell rid of the problem. Yeah, he's getting a golden parachute. I know everybody in the chat. He's making $400 million. Guess what? I don't care. Give him his $400 million. Give him the hell out of the studio.
Whether he decided to leave on his own anyway, like just get his shares bought out, and he could have hauled ass. That was never a big thing for me. But
just get him out of here. I have no problem with that. Get him out of here. He served no purpose to that studio or to none of the talent over there. He didn't care about the talent, and it showed. And guess what? The talent showed that to you with the amount of effort they put into Call of Duty, right? So with him going, I do see better Call of Duties, or hopefully better Call of Duties, better decisions being put into there, especially when they go through. Personally, I think what they need to go do a full cleansing, get rid of those who don't want to be there, get people who actually want to be there, who are committed and want to put out quality Call of Duty games. See, that's the problem with Call of Duty. The quality has significantly dropped. It has not been top tier. You see what I'm saying? It hasn't been top tier. If you look at the reaction for Modern Warfare 3 and compare it to Modern Warfare 2, that video has gotten ratio to oblivion. Every video in regards to Modern Warfare 3 has been disliked into oblivion. Nobody is excited. There's a lot of people that's not even playing the free demo or didn't even play the free beta because they're like, yeah, I'm done with it. I would rather, I'd rather them buy them, or I'm sorry, I'd rather them fix the problems and then put out the good product, the right product, the passion project. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Then put out these cash grabs that don't make no sense. So to answer your question now, yes, I do see this changing things for Microsoft in a better light. Why? Because they will have a better they'll have better Call of Duty games, hopefully by then. You know what I'm saying? more quality we put into those, and those will push everything better. So I do see that being better for Game Pass, especially. Game Pass is going to go through the roof with Call of Duty being on there. They're already putting all the OGs on there. They're going to slowly drop everyone in there. So you're going to have the full Call of Duty experience. They're probably going to, do some perks with it. Like you get custom weapon skins or something like that through Game Pass, maybe. There's a lot of cool things they can do to push Game Pass in that particular case. So yeah, I do see Game Pass getting better. I do see Microsoft doing a lot better, especially when we get into the other releases. What all they got to do is drop Doom. Personally, for me, all they got to do is say Doom. Next Doom is coming out. Let's say 2025.
Yeah,
that's all they got to say.
Yeah,
and they're good.
Intect's game's still not, or its game's not been announced yet. So whenever the next Doom, which is supposed to be Doom 0, right? Gets announced, that's going to be a big hype moment, and that's one that I feel like gets overlooked a lot from id. So it's going to be interesting. There's all these acquisitions. I feel like from Xbox, we started seeing the dividends finally in 2023, right? And then that's just going to keep carrying forward, and I feel like over time that it's not going to be as easily ignored or downplayed as much as I've seen people trying to downplay the releases this year. They can't. Over time, that stuff is year in, year out going to just keep stacking upon itself. And these games are going to stay in the service too. Like, for example, PlayStation just went up on their subscription service, and yet GT7 still isn't in there. Like 18 months. That game's been out 18 months, man. And yet we have a lot of shit talking about Forza Motorsport. And there's, you can have criticisms and all that kind of stuff, but to people to act like it's not a success or not a big game or all these kind of things or trying to downplay it, the same as they did with Starfield, it's like eventually they're not going to be able to do that with these Xbox releases because just the numbers.
You're going to have so many.
And you see the player counts, even on all these games that the people don't really ever think about or consider. There's millions of people that play a lot of these games on Xbox, but not necessarily on an Xbox, right? And that's okay, like at the end of the day, because what makes the most profit at the end of the day when it comes to these gaming companies, it's not the hardware, unless you're Nintendo. It's the software and services and content, and that's why it's a lot closer than people think. It's now ABK is in the mix. It's just like another beast altogether, dude. It's gonna be absolutely crazy. I don't get why Sony doesn't put all first-party games in PS Plus within 6 months. They're scared too. I feel like they're. They're kind of half-stepped everything they've done this generation when it comes to services and content. Like,
I don't
know.
Somebody left a comment. I don't know who it was. Was it Luis in your chat?
Luis Jose?
Yeah, I think he left a comment. I was looking at the chat. I was like, "What's up, Silent Cypher?"
Yeah, we got a lot of awesome people here. 154 people. I'm gonna start wrapping this up, dude, because I actually gonna be hopping on another show here in like 30 minutes. Dude, thanks for hopping in, Big Cloud. You've been absolutely awesome, man. But yeah, tell the people again where they can find you again, bro.
Want me to put a link to it? I'll put a link in the chat if you want me to do that.
I don't know if let me make you a mod real quick because I have that like link blocker thing on.
Oh, the spam bot.
I type something. I'll make you a mod real quick so you can put it in.
Let's see.
So my mic is low.
Sound good.
Right on. Okay, here we go. There you go. You should be able to do it now.
All right, there you
go. I'm trying to say. Hold on, it didn't take yet.
Oh.
I'm trying to hit save. It won't save you as a mod. My YouTube screen's frozen. Hold on.
What's up? What's up, Hustle? I see you in the chat.
Okay. Add as mod. For some reason, it's not saving. Here, just let me go to your channel. I'll put it in there. It's the easiest way. So. Sorry, dude. I don't know what's going on. I have the
you're good.
It's just not letting me do it.
You get. But to answer Lewis's question it. I think I found it. Hold on, let me scroll up here. Shout out there, Basia. It says, question for Big Cloud. Do you think Naughty Dog still has freedom with their decision, especially after the Room and Bungie thing? I do believe they have freedom in terms of creation, for sure. That's not really stopping them. The problem is Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann is the overseer, and Neil Druckmann has been proven lately to not be the greatest as of late, especially after Last of Us Part 2. He has not really been the greatest. So that's where I think I'm at right now with Neil Druckmann, personally.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, man. This whole thing is gonna have huge implications on the entire industry. We're gonna see. I think Grubb had a good tweet talking about like how some of the people are probably gonna use some of their money they've made, makes new studios and all these kind of different things, and like industry's gonna be fine. The whole monopolistic takes, the anti-consolidation stuff, and the super dynamic, evolving industry is completely misses the mark. The people that are crying about that kind of stuff. And Grubb said also, like, the next big game's gonna come out of nowhere from somebody we never heard of. And
they're like Sony. They're like Microsoft's a monopoly. They're buying everybody. I'm like, dude, Sony bought Insomnia Games. They bought Nixus. They bought Demolition Games. They bought not Epic Games. Something game. They bought other studios.
Blue Point. Right?
Blue Point. I mean, it's like, bro, like, what are we doing here? Like, come on, bro. It's literally what the industry's going. They're consolidating. They're making new games. ID Studios. They're helping these studios push more games. Personally, you should be happy that Microsoft got Activision before Amazon got Activision, or another ridiculous one got it, like Take-Two or something like that.
Yeah.
So come on. You should be happy that they got this. This is going to be nothing but betterment for the studio. And you're already seeing overnight results with Bobby Kotick getting the hell out the studio. So, hey, here's to the future. The future should be bright. Me, I'll be playing everything on PlayStation and PC. I have the option of both because I'm not limiting myself to one piece of hardware, and neither should anybody in this chat. Man, if you like PlayStation games, go play PlayStation games. If you like Xbox games, you're on PlayStation, go play the Xbox games if you can, or if you want to, go play them. It's not that big of a deal. This is nothing. This is nothing new to old school gamers like me and Mav, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you in the chat. Back in the day, we had no problem owning all platforms. Why? Because it was fun like that. It was a different experience everywhere you went. You had somewhere else to go to chill and have fun.
Yeah,
that's simple.
Man, I hope they implement cross-buy and get their PC storefront app open soon, because that's the thing that I really want. Helldivers 2, I'm actually looking forward to. I was disappointed it was postponed to next year. But I want to play it on PC, but I also want to play it on my PS5 when I want to chill in the other room, right? But I don't want to buy it twice, and it's not going to be in the subscription service. So what are my options? Like it's not. I don't really have any. It kind of sucks ass, I'm hoping they get that stuff fixed soon. But yeah, everybody check out Big Cloud Gaming on YouTube. Awesome creator, and thanks for stopping by, dude. I absolutely appreciate you hanging out. But also for me, everybody, that's going to do it for the stream tonight. Thanks for coming in for another impromptu show. ABK is absolutely a massive deal, huge implications, huge things going on in the industry. And if you've been listening to the right channels for a long time, you've been seeing this coming, and you all rock, and appreciate all the support, everybody that's been here for any of our shows that we got going on. If you do want to check out more conversation, ABK Shop podcast is going down in less than 30 minutes over on PTK Blam's channel. That I will be there tonight, as well as you got Pong Soul, Fuzzy Belvedere, and I think Pixelbit G is going to be there as well tonight with PTK. So I'll be hopping in there and talk more ABK. Huge moment, insane, transformational to the industry. But thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Hope you have a good night. Peace out.
Yeah, be good.
PTK Blam, Onion Bro. PTK Blam Shop podcast. Man, real quick, I'll put the link in there for that too. Just to make sure you guys find PTK Blam's channel.
You can also catch me on lordsgaming.net, by the way. I just dropped a review for Survivor Mercs.
Oh,
so you guys want to come over? Yeah, if you guys want to see my work there.
Bro, what game was it?
Survivor Mercs is a
Survivor
game
Mercs?
I got.
Okay, right on.
There. I can drop a link to it if you want it.
Lognet?
Yeah, I get a link to it. Hold on. let's see, where is it? Here it is. Want me to drop it to you here on Discord?
Yeah.
DM?
Yep.
No.
I'll put it in the chat.
There it is.
Here we go. Moving over. Hey, tons of links, everybody. Click on all these links. Links are great.
Gotta love them.
Yeah.
Gotta love them.
Right on, man. Well, have a good one, dude. And everybody else, have a great night. Y'all peace out.
Yeah, alrighty.